Hey, good morning, Patriots. It's another great. We're still here. We didn't get deported. That's the good news. And someone who recognizes the gift of not being deported, even though he's Italian, is Chris Cordani. Chris, I don't think they're after Italians today, are they? I don't think
N-
they've gotten that far down the list.
Not yet, but really, not a lot of people like us either. Keep that in mind. By the way, I've learned just in case we have a deportation problem, I learned how to speak Spanish in case I'm sent to El Salvador. Check this great Spanish joke I learned. Ready? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Por qué?
Porque who?
Por qué? Pig.
Porque
Yeah,
pig?
see, I can get around if I get deported in El Salvador because I'm learning the language. I'm immersing myself. I know what I'm doing. But the fact is,
No, you need to get some gang tattoos to blend in, Chris. Just saying.
I'll tell you, I can't. You know why? Because needles hurt. I'm sorry. I draw the line at needles. No way.
Yeah,
People, oh, tattoos make you look tough. No, they hurt. That and nose rings. I don't know how these women put these nose rings in there. We men know that stuff hurts.
yeah, I know. Well, speaking of someone who doesn't have nose rings, I think Karyn's here. Karyn Turk is a
Hey.
Good morning.
nose ring, saint of nose rings, right? You don't have
Yeah,
nose
no,
rings, do
I've
you?
never had a nose ring. That's not something that I've ever partaken in. Now, do I have children?
Good.
Have I birthed human beings onto this planet that have nose rings? I have. So there are nose rings in my family, but yeah, I don't partake in really any of that. That's just not my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Well, mine
Since
either.
when, since when do women think looking like Ferdinand the Bull was hot?
You know what? To each his own. There's a saying, Chris, there's a lid for every pot, right? There's a lid for every pot. Like people can be different, but we shouldn't have to bend our rules to adapt to a small percentage of the population. I mean, you have to look at a situation and say, that's your right. You can do whatever you want. You can pierce your nose, you can have purple hair. You can even run for office and maybe get elected, which has happened in this country, and have purple hair and be in Congress. And I mean, there are things that happen that are just mind blowing in this day and age. But you know what? To each his own. There's a lid for every pot, Chris. That's what they say.
That's
I'll,
right.
I'll get
But
it.
I still think that I think we should take a vote, Patriots. Do you think Chris should get some gang tattoos to blend in? I think so.
Or a nose ring. How
I
about a
think
nose
that's
ring?
No, oh
we
boy.
should do a GoFundMe to get Chris some really good gang art on his body. How about that? We could.
Mm.
There we go. I'll flash the gang signs like this one. The Van Buren gang. You can't forget the Van Buren
No,
gang.
no, that's the Tupac side of
Is
getting
that like
shot.
West Side Story? What is that?
That's
I
the
don't even
thing.
know. Sometimes, Chris, you do these references, and I'm like, what are they talking about? What kind of gang sign is that?
Patriots, you know where the Van Buren gang comes from, right? Let,
Oh,
let,
they're
let's
gonna.
let's
They
let's
got
get let's
you.
ask the Patriots.
I
We
see
all
they
know this.
got you. The chat knows. The chat knows. The chat's in on the joke.
Huh?
Always. They're
That's right.
always a
And
step ahead.
I still like
yes.
I still think it's better to have the Tupac gang sign. Like
How about the French gang sign? All right.
that's right. But you got to have something to drop. You got to drop something and then put your hands up. Like you got to have a gun. You got to have a gun in your hand, like the French. And you got to drop it. It's like
Yeah.
Oh, drop it like
Unless
it's
you're
hot.
that's the French.
it's the Macronian gang.
The Macronian gang. That's right. We're going to go to Ukraine and surrender in unison.
Hey yo.
That's why they're trying to get to Ukraine. They want to surrender. Horse eating surrender monkeys. Oh, did I say that? Oh my God! I'm gonna get in trouble now.
Oh, it's terrible.
All right, back to serious stuff. Chris, quit distracting me. You always do that. You get me on these tangents. So, but I do think that Chris would look good with like the facial tattoos. Like who's that fighter that had facial tattoos? He was in The Hangover.
Oh no, that was the guy from Mike Tyson Mysteries, right?
Mike
Forget his
Tyson.
name.
Yeah,
Oh, that's his name. Yeah, that's it. The guy got
Mike
beaten up by
Tyson, and
Buster
then
Reddick, Buster Reddick or whatever his name is.
yeah.
Buster
I
Day,
think that'd
Buster
be
Douglas.
cool.
Wait, I need a minute for the chat. I need a minute. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but this is really big breaking news, guys.
Let's
There
hear it.
actually
Uh
has been some donations on the Rumble account
oh.
for Chris's tattoo fund. So I
All
want to
right,
give a shout out
There you
first and
go.
foremost
let's
to
do it.
There you go.
Florida
Let's
for
do it.
Trump.
Way to
for being
go.
the very first donor here with $5 for Chris's tattoo fund. I mean, this really could be a thing, Chris. I mean, is there a number that we could get to where you would, find it acceptable to get a tattoo? I mean, everybody has a price. What would that price be?
I don't know. Let's see.
Can you
That's
be
going to be a
bought?
tough one. How about
Oh.
Ooh.
This
how
is
about
like legal
Ooh.
gambling. How high
It is.
can you
It is. It
go?
totally is. How
How
high
high
can you
can you
go?
go?
I think if you gave the chat a number and you said, okay, for $100, guys, I'll go get a
No, no,
tattoo.
no.
I
$100?
think they'd
He's
What
be
are you
game. I
nuts?
mean,
$100.
Needles
That
hurt.
doesn't buy you
$100. I
bed
mean,
breadsticks at Olive
substantial
Garden for
money.
You
That's
$100.
couldn't
real
get me a
money.
blood
A hundred
test there.
bucks.
No,
I can make
I'd have
a lot happen with $100.
what's her name do it? Kat Von D. Wait, she doesn't do tattoos anymore, does she?
She
Kat
does
Von
other
D.
things.
That was back in the day when that show was hot, and I don't even know what that show was called, but I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're
L.A.
talking
Inc.
about.
It was called L.A. Inc.
Wow.
I've
I
never
never
seen an
watched it,
episode.
but I
LA.
know exactly who you're talking about.
So no, we should get Cherie on the phone. Cherie Curry, our friend in LA. I'm sure she's got good friends who are tattoo artists, right, Chris?
All right, maybe I could probably get a Runaways tattoo. That would be nice. I would do a Runaways tattoo.
Yeah, like a cherry bomb. Get the cherries. I mean, she's
Well,
got. I don't have one. I
I
have one
could
of her shirts over to get
I
a
could call
cherry.
Roger Stone. Somebody did that Nixon tattoo on his back. I could call Roger, and I'm sure Roger would get involved here and help Chris out.
There we go.
Roger would
I could
definitely
work.
get involved and help
I
out.
think he
I got to
really
be on his
would.
show.
I think he'd definitely get involved and help out. I think it could actually be a thing. He's a lot of fun
Why
behind the
don't
scenes. I have to say that.
why don't you get a Roger Stone tattoo? That's an idea. I'm sure he'd support
That
that.
would be amazing. I mean, what would the
Uh,
price be for
Yeah.
that,
well, I get a
Chris? I
Roger
mean,
Stone ahead of an Oliver Stone, so that's definitely true.
Well,
Or a Judge
Oliver
Perry
Stone. You get Oliver Stone because you get it on your butt and you get shot, so to speak. But we'll be talking about
Ooh.
JFK later today.
Oh,
We'll be
yeah.
talking about JFK later today. That's on our agenda,
That's
which
right.
is coming up. We got to go through.
We'll do
So
that with
before we lose track, Patriots, I don't want to, I don't know. We should do some research before I approve this whole thing of a tattoo. We have to find out if Ed McMahon had tattoos. Did Ed McMahon have tattoos? If not, I think it's off the table.
He
Just
had
saying.
a,
Since
he had a Publishers Clearinghouse stamp as a tattoo.
yeah, not a. He didn't have a stamp on his back. You know what they call those, right?
Actually, I think I know what it was. What was it? A tramp stamp? Is that what it's called?
Tramp stamp. Yeah,
Yes.
he didn't have it.
What he did have.
I could have been a victim. I could have been a victim of the tramp stamp. I do want to say that. I could have been a victim. There was a time in the 90s where cool girls were doing this. And in my mind,
That's
I
right.
thought at that time,
I know
I'm
a lot
gonna
of
stay
cool
in
girls who
shape.
did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of women my age that are out there that have these things, and especially the tribal stuff. Like that was a thing. And all this Y2K stuff, all this like 90s stuff is coming back now. I don't know. It could be hot again. I mean, do you have a position, Tony, on the tramp stamp?
I'm like you. It's like I don't care. It's like I don't have tattoos. If you want to have a tattoo, you want to have a piercing, go knock yourself out. But I do think that the tic-tac-toe tramp stamp was over the top. Just saying. I don't think that was a good idea. But
Oh, wow.
what
Well,
do I know?
about
What do
that
I know?
one?
I don't know these things.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but there's a lot of this has really gotten the chat started. We have a lot of people talking about tattoos, and I'm actually surprised
Sure
that so
it
many
has.
people that are like, I have 6 tattoos, I have 5
Saggy
tattoos.
tattoo.
I just saw the sticky tattoo.
Hey, that's a great. No. Red Bull come up with that. I look. That's a great band name. Saggy Tattoos.
All right, that's a good one.
Saggy
The Saggy
tattoos.
Tattoo First in Hollywood band. There we go.
I
That
do,
could be like an 80s group.
so
80s
I'm going to give a
band.
shout out because she's in the chat. My birth mom's in the chat, Pam.
Oh, well,
She's
hello.
watching the
Oh,
show
how
this morning.
cool!
Yeah,
How cool.
she goes in the chat
I
every
got
now
friends
and
that
then.
watch, but they don't show up in the chat. Yeah, that's cool.
I have people in the chat. I have to say. I mean, that's what makes this
That's
show
cool.
on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
such
I've
a
got
big deal
friends.
for
They always
me.
say, "Oh, we're watching," but they
Oh,
never
okay.
show up in the chat.
All
Just
right.
saying. So,
I know exactly what I would
Yeah.
get. Okay. I
all right,
do
what would you
realize
get? All right.
If I do get, if I
What are you
ever get
getting?
a tattoo, if it ever happens, I will get a penny farthing.
Ooh, now that's an
Oh.
idea.
That would be a good
That's
one.
an idea.
At least it's
For
a
those
tribute
who
to a
don't
great show.
know, that's from The Prisoner. Yeah, he's
That's right.
number 6.
Yeah.
So
Or number 2, just to
I'm
throw
number
people
6.
off. I just throw people
Yeah.
off with number 2, but
yeah. I think that would be a cool thing and very topical, so to
Yes.
speak, if you get a
Yes, that would
tattoo.
work. Yeah.
All
Or,
right. Well,
since I'm a media
so
guy, wouldn't I be 113A or B? Since I've been a media guy for very long.
I think that would work. Yeah. And you could go interview people at the village. So uh, we should do a segment with, because I think some people get it, some people don't. We should do a short segment sometime with the prisoner just to show people what we're talking about.
I think we should.
So
Maybe if I can get somebody to come on and talk about it, that would be fantastic. That would be great.
we should
Otherwise,
do
we'll
that.
just do
We
it.
should
Yeah.
do that.
Otherwise, we'll do a new
So
lounge. We'll do another house lounge. We'll do a series on the
we
prisoner.
should.
That would be great. I'll
And
resurrect the show.
until then, be seeing you, right?
Yes, be
So
seeing
that's
you.
what we
Right.
said.
Well, I've
That's
Be
been,
right.
you
seeing
know,
you.
I just
Be
want to
seeing
remind
you.
everybody too, I've been to prison. So if you're going to interview anybody on the show, Chris, keep in mind.
Female Oz featuring Karyn Turk. Okay. The mean.
Well, you
the mean
know,
streets of
Throw
West
that
Palm
in there.
Beach.
You
Yes.
know, it's interesting because Patrick McGowan played at the same time he was doing the series The Prisoner. He played David Jones, not the monkey. He played David Jones, the spy on. It's true. Come on, these things all circle together. He played Davy Jones, spy on a movie that only had male members of the cast. I don't know why I know that, but I know that. It was called Ice Station Zebra, which was a great
Oh,
movie.
okay.
If you ever want to, yeah.
No,
There was
yeah.
not a single female in that cast. Just saying. I don't. It's like it's one of the few movies of that era where there was no love story. Well, it's on a submarine. Maybe there was a love story, but we didn't see it. Just saying. So.
That's if it was made now and Disney took a hold of that. That would be a whole different bird.
Yeah.
But
That's a whole different thing. Anyway, we got to move on. Too much of this hilarity. We're going to get people like overwhelmed. Their senses will be basically attenuated, shrunken because they're just knocking them over the head with funnies. So let's get back to facts. So Karyn, speaking of one of the facts that we want to talk about, are you prepared to do Jesus Calling this morning?
I am, and I want
Oh,
to
great.
say, I know you guys have probably been following, all of this news. I didn't watch the show yesterday of this college student that's been missing, and I want to say,
No,
thoughts and
we did
prayers.
not
I
talk
know
about
so
that
many
yesterday.
of us in the chat, so many of us that are mothers are, thinking about how you would feel in that situation, and I want to make sure that we really focus on that at Jesus Calling this morning. We all say a quick prayer, that this family heals. Her mom's actually calling for them to declare her deceased because I'm sure the family wants peace at this time, and it's just such a horrible tragedy. So yeah, I'm ready. If you guys are ready, are you ready?
We're ready. Let's do it.
Ready.
Okay, perfect. Today's Jesus Calling is trust me one day at a time. This keeps you close to me, responsive to my will. Trust is not a natural response, especially for those that have been deeply wounded. My spirit within you is your resident tutor, helping you in this supernatural endeavor. Yield to his gentle touch. Be sensitive to God's prompting. Exert your will to trust God in all circumstances. Don't let your need to understand distract you from my presence. I will equip you to get through this day victoriously as you live in deep dependence on me. Tomorrow is busy worrying about itself. Don't get tangled in its worry webs. Trust me, one day at a time. So, beautiful way to start the day.
Well said.
Prayers
Well said.
and hopes for peace for everyone right now.
Yeah. And,
I think it's important to recognize that you need to take these things one day at a time. And I think I've talked about my sobriety here before. One of the things I'm coming up on, I started in 1992 in June of 92. So it's coming up on 34 years. It's been a long time. Anyway, the whole idea is that you focus on it one day at a time. And obviously, I think we all have to recognize that you do the right thing the best you can. It's not always easy. Trust me, I think we all have daily dilemmas about what to do and not do, and it's not easy to do the right thing. Sometimes
it's not.
I think, yeah, and we are the summary of our choices, and our choices have to be inspired by God, by Jesus, because isn't it? There's a saying about that, Karyn, right? Let me worry about tomorrow, because that's my job. You hang in there for today. I can't remember the phraseology, but there's something that Jesus said along that line.
There's so much, and just having faith and being able to be reliant on something that's bigger than yourself is such a source of peace for so many of us. I was actually in my car this morning, and I had talked to my therapist a while ago about having like a little keyword for myself. We all get up in our own heads, Tony, and it's important to focus on God and have faith and say, you know what, I'm not in control. Like one day at a time.
Yep.
Let me just take the right step forward. And one of the things I do is I enumerate and I go through things in my head that are really like nonsensical. And she said the most simple thing to me. She said, "You don't do that anymore." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "When you find yourself doing that, say, God, I don't do that anymore, and have a little faith and move past it." And it's
Yep.
been such a like a valuable tool. And I'm like, wow, like I had to get to like beyond 50 years old to figure out that I can just say to myself, like, I don't do that anymore and move on. And yeah, we all have our own demons and our own struggles. And Tony,
Yeah.
hats off to you to commit to doing that and to be able to follow through with it and, have so much faith and strength to be able to do that for 30 plus years. That's really impressive. It really
Thank you. Well,
is.
our history is not who we are. It is there to instruct us and
Yeah,
help us do better in the future. That's all it is. And you are not your past. The past was
right.
part of you, and that's where we all need to recognize. If you look back and focus on the past, you're going to go back to the past. You need to focus on lessons learned and move forward, and always remember that. But speaking of lessons learned, I guess some people did not learn their lesson by coming here and then being put on a plane to go home, right, Chris?
No, not at
There's some
all.
people. There's some people who they're pretty upset because they're being told, "Hey, you don't have to be here, and we're going to help you leave." Right? So, do we want to talk? Oh, before I get into that, Karyn, I want to talk before I get into people being removed. Some
Yeah.
legally, well, they're all legally being removed. Some are being told you can't come back because of things. But I wanted to get your opinion about Ashley Biden. Not about her tattoos, which I think she has a few, but what do you think about the president dropping her Secret Service protection? She and Hunter,
I
they're
think
on their
neither of
own
them
now. What do you
deserve
think?
it. I think they should be on their own. I think they've been on their own for a long
Yeah,
time, making stupid decisions. And again, your past doesn't define you. So, I got to be really careful how we step out of the conversation that we just had and what I say right now.
no,
Because, no, honestly, I think
their
you
past
have
is their
to.
past is still going. Their
It,
past is
it
still
is,
going. They
and
ain't out
it's
of the
and
past.
that's the thing.
Sure.
That's where the line is blurred. Is the
Yeah,
the Biden administration and the family and the people around that would like you to believe that Joe Biden is a cognizant individual, and that Hunter and Ashley, their drug problems are a thing of the past. But the fact that cocaine was found in the White House, the fact that they have the behaviors that these people have, lead most of us as
yeah,
logical individuals to believe that they are an active addiction. And I don't think that we should be enabling anybody to take advantage of the system here.
exactly.
And I certainly don't think we need to be offering protection for people that are their own worst enemies. And truly, that really sums it up here. When you look at Hunter Biden and you look at just everything that we know now, it makes a lot of us scratch our head and say, how did we get to this point in our country that things were so corrupt that we could have had a man with dementia in the White House with two drug addict kids? So, no, I don't think we should be providing Secret Service for them. I think they're grown people. I think that they have the ability to leverage their names as they have so, well in the past, and afford private, duty security if they need so be. There are
Yeah.
resources for rich people to go ahead and hire, their own security. You have enough money to make it happen. And guess what? If you don't, maybe team up with your sister and the rest of your fraudster family, and maybe they can figure something out. But I don't think it should be America's problem.
No, it's true. And by the way, a lesson from Hunter Biden and Ashley. They both know that duty is in the diaper from being around their dad. So just saying that they do know that.
It
So
really is
your
so
duty is
sick.
also in
Like,
the diaper. Yeah.
it's sick. It's sick when I think about just how, appalling the last several years has been. And you look at, the shots that they're taking at Elon Musk and the people that are actually in there trying to make a difference and, eradicate the fraud and
Yeah.
the problems. And you think about just how deep and dirty this has gone. And it's really hard
Oh, I
to
know.
fathom that there were people in this country that voted for Joe Biden. Like, I still am wrapping my head around that, Tony. Even if it was a stolen election, there were still people that actually voted for him, and there are still people that are
Yeah.
protesting American freedom by not supporting Israel, which is mind-boggling in itself. And you look at what's happening in these cities, and again, you got
Well,
to just
well,
look
let's
at
talk
God
about
and
that
have
briefly.
faith.
I think I do want to, and maybe when Jerry comes on, we'll finish off the thing with Hunter and Ashley. But I do want to
Yeah,
go where
sorry,
you
I
just mentioned,
hijacked it and
Karen.
went in a different
No.
direction.
You're only here till 9:30, so I'm glad we're having this talk
True.
conversation with you.
Very true story.
So So as you've mentioned, right now the Israelis have returned to the offensive, and for those who follow, I have been saying for the last month, we're never going to get to phase two. There's not going to be a phase two. The Israelis will return to combat operations, and here we are.
What are you going to do?
Because, no, we said it because to that point, Karyn, there was no way the Israelis were ever going to give up control of Gaza. It's like, come on, no, it's not. They're not going to do that. And then, Hamas really thought, we're going to do it.
More complicated than that too, Tony. And you've
No.
lived this. You've lived it. You're more ingrained in sort of the security side of it than I am as a civilian. I look at this situation and I say to myself, if we don't defend the freedom of Israel, we're just deteriorating our own freedom here. And there's so many legs to this thing. There's so many legs. This is such an intricate situation when you think about the American-Israeli relationship, you think about Jewish people and anti-Semitism in this country, and the fact that not only do these radicals want to kill Jews, they really want to kill anybody that wants Western ideals and wants to live under free will.
But that's where I'm going with this, because not only did the Israelis have to act on their own, and they've acted again now, I think this time with Donald Trump's approval. My point to you is that Biden was talking literally out of both sides of his tuchus or mouth. But because on one hand, this goes back to the election, because you had this bifurcation of messaging. You had one message for the Jews saying, "Oh no, we're here with you. We support your effort to kill Hamas, but you need to go easy on the Palestinians. You don't kill them because we're upset." And then the other message was, "We're anti-Israeli. We're with you, Muslims, especially up in Michigan, where they were basically behind the scenes." And remember, Kamala Harris meeting
with
Netanyahu.
Cells. These are sleeper cells. These are Muslim sleeper cells, in my opinion, in this country.
So I'm glad you went to that direction, because one of the things I tweeted out this morning, it got some attention, is this chick. Can I call her a chick, Chris? This Hamas, the Hezbollah supporter, the Hezbollah supporter.
Right.
Basically, she was a doctor, like Dr. Mengele, only with a hajib. Is that what they call those things?
That's what they call them.
She goes over to attend the funeral of Nasrallah, who's the Hezbollah guy. And she goes over there, and so she comes back into the country, and they look at her phone. It's like, "Hey, you're a terrorist." "Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I only follow him for his religious teachings. I don't recognize his politics." Nonsense. Let me be very clear for the Patriots here.
Go live in a war zone, honey. See you later.
No. It's worse than that. It's worse than that. Anybody who subscribes to Hezbollah, Hamas, Al Qaeda, ISIS, there's no difference between the political and religious elements of Islam. We got to wake up, and this is a big issue because she tried to say, "Oh no, it's just his religious testing." There's no difference. My old boss, Dr. Herb London, did a number of books on this. He talked about radical, militant, political Islam. Islam is not a religion; it's a political movement.
It's not a religion.
That political movement includes. It's a religion of peace, because they will inflict their peace on you. That's what they will make you. They will. No, I'm serious. The only choices you have as someone who follows Christ is to subordinate yourself or become a slave of them. That's it. There's no other choices. You can't be.
And not only as a follower of Christ, as anybody who is a God-loving, God-fearing individual, there is sometimes that things become so radically misdirected that they become evil, and that is exactly what has happened.
Exactly.
There's no question about that. But the underpinnings were always there, and I will agree with you that if you go back and you study, and I know that our chat is on fire, and they, are historians and they are theologists in this chat, and you know that as well as I do. And if you look at the teachings and you look at the fact that jihad is something that is believed in as a religious practice, that you have to wage war on your enemies.
Exactly.
Right? Absolutely.
Exactly.
This is not something that supports Western ideals, Western society, or a belief in one God, which is what Jews and Christians believe in. And that is absolutely why. That is absolutely why we are here in America. It's every reason why we are the melting pot that we are, because we are people that look for, in God we trust. And to
Yeah,
think that we're in a world where there are sleeper cells in our Congress, and for so
exactly.
many of us, we look at it. Not only that, you could be confronted with that any day of the week, somebody who has been radicalized, and we have to eliminate this from this country. This is not freedom loving. This is not American ideals. And if you don't like the ideals of this country, go live somewhere else. Go live in Gaza. And guess what? In Gaza, who takes care of these Palestinians when there is a reason that they get injured? Who takes care of them? Because it's not the Palestinians, it's the Israelis. The
No,
Israelis are the ones that have a belief in, being human and taking care of each other. It's not the Islamic terrorists. So,
It's not the
we
local
have to
witch
right.
eliminate
doctor.
all of that. I'm all about just blow it up at this point. I really am just
Yeah,
absolutely so over it. And I pray to
I think
God
a
that
lot
Israel
of,
stays safe, but I'm over it,
Well,
yeah.
let's take this
Well,
to
I'm
a
going to
different
put,
level.
go ahead. All right.
Tony, let's take this. Tony, Karen, let's
Go
take
ahead,
this to
Chris.
another level. This is also this for this particular story also encompasses the immigration, the rights of people who come in here, rights versus privileges when it comes to having a visa, and the controversy over H-1Bs. There are people who sneak in on some of these visas, or they get in,
Mhm.
they hide their beliefs, they hide their intentions, and they come in here not never really properly vetted, and you see what happens. Look, this person going overseas to Lebanon to mourn a leader of a group that's murdered many, and tells a group to and the same group is going to continue murdering people. They pledged on this, and she comes back thinking, "Oh, things will be hunky dory because I'm here in America, free speech." No, free speech is protected for American citizens under the
Right.
Constitution. And that still doesn't mean you
Yeah.
can come in here
Right.
in this country and
No,
cause us
there are
harm,
rules
or
No,
be
that you
associated with people who
follow.
cause us harm.
You
no,
Get
have
out.
to
exactly.
you have to
Right.
assimilate to our rules to a certain extent. You have to be able to
Yeah.
follow the rule of law. You have to be able
Well,
to assimilate
Special
to a
talents or
certain
not,
extent into
H-1B
our
or not.
melting pot of
right.
society.
Right.
Well, I
And
just posted in the chat that
Yes.
Providence Journal article. I think people need to see this because she protests her innocence, which we all know is a lie. But whoever wrote this article really took her side. They try to put this really nice, cotton candy facade on the complete hideous lies that she tells. Because basically, we have people on the inside of our country, inside of our media system, who are willing to promote their deception. That's all it's about. That's what I'm talking about. So we all need to be smarter than the average bear and recognize that this is part of our own system's betrayal of our values. When a newspaper promotes favoring her over our values, that's a problem. I'm not saying don't tell the full story. I'm saying don't try to put a smiley face on someone who was literally loyal to a terrorist who has killed thousands of people. That's my point. So just saying.
I'm appalled right now. I'm reading the chat and I'm trying to figure out and validate this. But Beach Cat Blues is saying a city in New Jersey just declared themselves the first Islamic city. I read it's
Oh,
Patterson, I think. I mean, poor Patterson. I mean, Patterson was not exactly where I would choose if I was going to look for a city to,
well,
bring my family to. Would not be my choice, but the first Islamic city. Can you believe that? I got to look this up. And are there other cities? And then
wow.
apparently there's a
Ed Clark must
huge
be pissed.
Sharia law
Yeah.
compound in Texas.
Well,
I
think
don't know
about
if you guys know about this. But our
Wow.
chat is on fire right
Horrible.
now.
no
Yeah.
wait. This
Horrible.
On
you're talking
fire.
Patterson, New Jersey. You say
That's what
Patterson,
they're
New Jersey.
saying. That's
I've
what the
been to
chat is
Patterson.
saying.
I've been to Patterson, New Jersey. You've been to Patterson, New Jersey.
I
Are you sure about
have.
this? And here's the article
This
here.
is
This
what
is
they're
actually true.
saying.
Ed Clark, I get that baseball bat and the bullhorn out there. Or worse yet, why would they even want to go to
I can't
Patterson?
believe
Aren't they
what I'm
afraid of
reading
being
here.
mugged?
When was
Yeah.
this?
They should be afraid of all the gangs and being mugged
This
down
is
there. What is
interesting.
Islamic City?
Yeah. Let
Come on.
me point out the obvious because I think this is where people tend to forget it. There is no room within our system for Sharia law. Sharia law, which is basically an expression of their religion, if you're a woman, you are literally considered chattel, right, Karyn? I mean,
Yeah.
you are literally considered property. So the
Yeah.
idea somehow that this can exist within our constitutional governance, our republic, is insane. It cannot exist.
It's insane.
You cannot have a
If two things
framework.
don't, you can't have both.
Yeah, you cannot have both. But here we are. This is insane. Speaking of someone who's not insane, good morning, Dr. Corsi.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Good to see you, Jerry. Yeah. So we're just talking about Sharia. Yeah, we're just going through kind of the realities of the Islamic faith and how they want to present peace on their terms. It's like that episode of the Twilight Zone when they talk about to serve man. It's a cookbook.
Well, I just love the fact that the Democrats are now supporting Palestinian. Of course, that's Hamas. Might as well read Hamas, with a terrorist group.
Oh, exactly.
And they're supporting, these Venezuelan gangs. And if you saw the pictures of the Venezuelan gangs, they were better than watching Netflix yesterday.
Absolutely.
And so let's get the Democrats to support every crazy, insane cause they can think of.
Yeah.
And the Democrats want to self-destruct in front of America. This is the best way to do it. And these nutcases think that we're going to welcome open arms a Hamas state in the Hamas city. If you've been to Elizabeth and Patterson, Elizabeth, and I live in New Jersey, and Newark, just take them out of the state, you'd have a very red state. So I'm all for letting these states become Palestinians, saying goodbye and cut off their federal funding.
Well, Jerry, Yeah,
take away.
Why don't we give them, like, I don't know, why don't we give them a state that we can live without? I don't know.
Maine.
I think
give them
Maine.
I
Maine. Let's give them Maine.
For Jersey, guys. I have a fondness for Jersey. I grew up there, and I have to bounce.
I love Jersey.
Say hello to
I love
Jerry,
Jersey.
and then I'm gonna exit stage left, Chris.
Well, good seeing you, Karyn. We'll see you next week.
It was nice seeing you. See me a week after next. I'll be traveling next week. See you guys in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Hopefully we won't. Hopefully we won't be deported either. Yeah, travel safely.
Okay,
don't worry about it.
Gentlemen, you guys are onto something here. Think about this. We should, instead of maybe deporting everybody, round up all the Venezuelan gangs, the Crips, the Bloods, and send them to a state that nobody cares about, Maine. Maine's governor would take them in and let them fight it out there. They should fight it out there.
Bureaucrats are going to go to Death Valley.
Yeah, thin the herd.
Chris, don't get worked up. The Democrats are going to take all the agencies and we're going to put them in Death Valley, and then we'll reserve the Mojave Desert for the Islamicists and the Palestinians. They like desert, so we'll send them.
They like the desert. That's right.
I still think Maine's governor would take them right in. So
I think Jerry's onto something. We can put them out in the Mojave, give them all the camels and goats they want, and they'll be happy.
All the
they'll be happy.
They could rail against from the mountains to the sea.
That's a good idea.
Just put them out there; they'll be fine.
Basically, from the cactus to the skull of the cattle. Skull.
And they would have their own Lawrence of Arabia in the form of Gavin Newsom. Can you see Gavin out there riding camels, looking all slick on his? That'd be a great movie. Make Lawrence of Arabia again with the Gavin. That would be the.
They have X1 come out and give them speeches along with AOC. I mean, let's get these.
She's like this. No, Jerry. She's like the salt monster from Star Trek, the first episode of Star Trek, the original series.
Just get them to support every insane idea you can think of. So the Democrats are now easy game. Just go fire some transgenders from the military and let them support them.
No, that's already going on. Trust me, I'm hearing about this from folks already. So
okay, let's fire some massive. 2/3 of a university fires its faculty. Let them go to who are all Marxists and communists. So
on that point, though, Jerry, I think this is one of the things that people had heard about, but I think they're about to find out the magnitude of how much DOD was into butchering people. I don't think now it's going to be disclosed because people are going to complain, and I think people are going to be really surprised of how many people. I changed. Yes, of course I changed clothes. I don't hang around in my, proud American woman, number one. I love you to death, but I don't run around the house in a suit and tie. Just saying. I don't. Sure, you do that. I don't do that.
I do it.
So anyway,
So the whole point
well,
is,
you need a tattoo.
there's two or three easy solutions to this. Number one, cut off their funding. The Department of Education now is $24 billion, 4% of which goes to education. The rest goes to radical, activists who donate the money to the Democratic Party, or they give it to a non-government organization, NGO, gives it to the Democratic Party. So the Department of Education is just a money laundering scheme. Okay, now how many? I think that's probably every department we have in the country, in the federal government. The activists are giving grants that are intended to go to Act Blue. And so we've got a big money laundering scheme going on. Number one, cut off their money and see how badly Elizabeth Warren, $67 million worth of her net worth. So let's see how badly she squeals. Let's get them all to be complaining that their money is gone. And let's explain to the people where their money came from. Secondly, let's get them to support every radical terrorist group in the United States. Let's make them poster children for the Democratic Party. I want to see pictures of this Venezuelan gang, all with donkey signs and the big D with the blue circle. And I want them all holding up their.
Well, you can't, Jerry. You can't say cut off and without thinking about Hunter Biden and Ashley. So let's talk about that for a second.
Oh yeah.
Because as you know, as of yesterday, because Laura Loomer did some good reporting. A lot of people have problems with Laura. I know her. She's. I like her. I get along with her fine.
She's fine.
But she reported that Hunter Biden, who's apparently broke, according to the papers, was out in some safari, some high level safari in South Africa, hunting rhino.
Yeah.
Well, he's. I guess Adam Kinzinger was on the trip. I guess he was hunting Adam Kinzinger. So, anyway,
that's a good one. Heyo! All right, you have to get a heyo.
Heyo! But my point is that why did we wait so long to cut off their Secret Service protection? This makes no sense to me.
Cut off their classification, access to classified material. Cut off their money. Cut off their Secret Service.
He's a drug addict, Jerry. He should never have had any access as a felon or a drug user to anything classified. That's like forbidden. It's you can't do that. So
and let's reduce him to begging for money to steal again. See, and let's catch him stealing at this time. Now I want to talk about also this auto pen. Everybody's missing.
Let's do that.
Let's do the
auto pen. First of all, everything the auto pen signs is not signed by the president. But second, people forget the auto pen has a timestamp that shows where you are when it's signed. Okay, so if we go to the timestamps, you're going to find more than 50% of the auto pens were signed when Biden was nowhere in the vicinity.
Exactly.
It wasn't even there. Okay, so not only is it auto pen, he wasn't even there. There's no proof that he even knew about it. Okay, and so the auto pen can't be run in the government. And so therefore, it's not just the pardons that can be rescinded, and Trump's done that for Fauci and for Liz Cheney, but it's also every piece of legislation he signed is now null and void. So we take out all these stupid acts that were passed during the Biden administration and just declare them null and void. And then let's get all the judges to support transgenders, spending more money, having NGOs to be money laundering, transgenders, more operations on children in schools. Let's get these judges to do all these actions. Let the American people see what Soros is about. Okay, let's see how long. Well, anyway, John Roberts has served. I've got reports, firsthand reports from people who are at John Roberts Club. They sits around there barking and arguing about Donald Trump. John Roberts has hated Donald Trump. Now, you can't have a court justice that hates Donald Trump. And I'm saying, John Roberts, it's time for you to retire. It's time for you to do something else. Okay?
Well, he's not just the only one, but Jerry, let's talk about that. I want to break down both those things. First, the issue with the Democrat Party is becoming, they are malignant. They're like a tumor that was kind of contained and controlled, and all of a sudden it's metastasized and it's trying to go after the system of the Democrat Party, which is great for us. Like, you want to have cancer, you go have cancer. And I think we're going to see how pervasive it is. But to your point regarding judges, those judges were, it's so funny now. anytime you hear this now, it's always this article is always prefaced by Obama selected judge. Isn't that something? It's always Obama selected judge did X.
Clinton, sometimes Clinton.
And Clinton sometimes, mostly
Let's
Obama.
go.
My point is, can you imagine if at the beginning of World War II, the Japanese attack us, and we have some pro-imperial Japanese judge tell Roosevelt, RFK, that, oh, no, you can't declare war on Japan because we need to negotiate first. Can you imagine a judge doing that? That's what they're trying to do now.
How about a neo-Nazi judge saying, can't put the Japanese in internment camps?
Right.
So the point is, the Democrats are so completely out of step. They look like the new picture of the Democratic Party is that speech that Trump gave to the joint session of Congress with them sitting there, and it's with Al Green in his canes shouting at the president, and these women sitting there in their pink pussy suits without their pussy hats, and nobody, and all of them holding up these little signs like it was an auction. They look like the most angry, bitter, stupid, evil group in America. So I'd say put a camera on them. Well, put a camera on them while they're saying to a kid who's had brain cancer and just wants to be a cop, they can't even stand up and applaud. Let the American people see this and see the Democratic Party for what it is. That's give the way to beat the Democratic Party is give Maxine Waters a microphone, give AOC a microphone. Give all these people all the time they want in the air to express their insane opinions. And now I was very happy to see Stephen Miller go after this guy Andrew Weissman yesterday.
Oh my God! Yeah, I saw that.
And
Trump so let's talk about that briefly, because I want to get to JFK, because obviously there's a big event we want to talk about today. But let me ask about that. So Stephen Weissman has been
Andrew Weissman.
He's not Andrew Weissman. Yeah, he's not Darth Vader. He's like Darth Vader's valet. I mean, the guy is evil. And it's very clear that, first off, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Secondly, clearly, Weissman has been on every case that we've seen over the last 5 years, which was out to get Trump. This guy is scum. So how is it that CNN still listens to this guy?
He wanted to put me in prison. Okay, and I think that interview was
exactly.
So the whole idea here that you've got this guy Weissman who even gets any television time, he should be disgraced. He ran the failed Mueller investigation, and that Mueller investigation, Fox News, where Stephen Miller just basically took another one of these. And by the way, Fox News is not going to cover any conservative books unless they publish it. No conservative authors. Very few conservative podcasters, and they give airtime to these Democrats expressing their stupid views. So they're talking about how the Democratic Party is now going to run against everything Biden has done for the last 4 years, everything Obama has done. They're going to have to run against their own agenda in order to get American people to listen to them. So they're going to be saying we need to to benefit the middle class when Biden ran inflation to destroy the middle class by spending money.
Well, more importantly, and this is the thing I want to talk about you, because you have skin in the game, so to speak. Should Weissman, and the others be prosecuted? Because part of this whole thing, and this is going back to the auto pin thing, President Trump didn't say, oh, I am arbitrarily removing the pardons. What Trump is saying is that Joe Biden didn't know he was pardoning anybody. And I think it's true. So obviously the most obvious confirmation of that is Biden has said nothing. Nobody, no spokesman or Biden has said anything about the fact that the auto pin thing was probably done by someone else. But beyond that, if you take away all these pardons, what should be the strategy of Pam Bondi, of Kash Patel? Jerry, should they go after these people?
Yes, they should. Pat Bondi needs to form a task force to do this. A task force, whose sole mission is to go after all the crimes committed in Operation Crossfire Hurricane. And I've written extensively about this and have extensive files, as do others. And Kash Patel needs to have a task force created, and we'll give him name, chapter, date, and verse of all the people in that Department of Justice who deserve to be indicted and prosecuted, and also the CIA, John Brennan, Clapper. They owned all these
Oh, yeah.
intelligence agents that were.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know Jim Clapper. That guy is dirty. So yeah.
And about all the journalists who for 4 years it was Russian collusion. How about Michael Isikoff? Okay, how much is Michael
Oh my God.
Isikoff?
Yeah.
Okay, publishing these books and being a celebrity among the Democrats for propagating the Steele dossier lies. And there are people in the Department of Justice who need to be prosecuted because they knew the Steele dossier was criminal. And by the way, as Mark Elias, who's behind a lot of these cases, going back to Perkins Coie supporting Hillary Clinton and funding the Steele dossier through her campaign.
Yep.
These are a lot of crimes committed, and these crimes need to be investigated and prosecuted. And it's all going to trace back to money. It's all going to trace back to hatred Donald Trump, because Donald Trump was going to do what he's doing now. And thank God we had 4 years. I think it was providential. God put Biden in there so we could see just how demonic these people are. Kill babies in mass numbers up to the moment of birth, alter our children sexually before they reach puberty in the schools.
Well, we talked this morning on Newsmax on First Edition. Some of you caught it. Great. Good on you for watching. The fact that Biden himself, or whoever acted for him, allowed for 2 generations of Russians and Ukrainians to die needlessly. This war could have been avoided. This is a profit-making venture for the left and the neocons. This is an evil marriage of the neocons and the left to make money,
money
based on human suffering. But beyond that, Jerry, they're fine with people dying as long as they get paid. I'm just saying. And when you consider that as the backdrop, do you think they're really going to hesitate to ruin people domestically? Because they were after you, they were after others. So I fully support the idea of a task force to go after them. But I want to get to this next thing because I want to give you at least 10 minutes to talk about it because it's your specialty. Boy, oh boy, we're finally here. The JFK files are about to be out. So I want to, you wrote a book about this, Jerry. Chris, do you have that book available to show people?
And thank you.
Yes, you do.
First, I want to say I was attacking last week Pat Blondie. I'm beginning to call her Pat Blondie until she does something. Pam Blondie over there was doing nothing. I made a big deal about it last week. And so suddenly Trump shows up with Pam Blondie and they do a speech. And all of a sudden we get the Kennedy documents out and she was holding those on her desk and they were going to be sent out redacted.
Interesting.
Trump said yesterday there'd be 80,000 pages unredacted. Now, if Trump doesn't deliver that, Pam Blondie's toast. And
I'm hoping.
Pam Blondie also yesterday appointed a task force to go after the October 7th attack and everybody who supports Hamas. So let's close down the universities and these university students who are paid to go out and protest Hamas. Let's go after Antifa. Let's shut down Black Lives Matter, who took all this money and built mansions. Now, this book on the final analysis is the optical density measurements of the X-rays, JFK's 3 autopsy X-rays taken by David Mantik over 30 years. He's a radiation oncologist and he has a PhD in radiation. He's demonstrated, in fact, that Kennedy was shot twice from the front. Now, by the way,
we've all talked about this on the show too, and I agree with your assessment.
But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and I have talked about this, and he asked for his radiologist, Dr. Ted Fogarty, who also looked at the book and told Robert Kennedy it was 100% correct. Okay, now Ted Fogarty happens to be among the doctors very close to Robert Kennedy, and he's a specialist in hyperbaric therapy, and more to come. But I'm going to have a lot going with the Vets for Trump and we just created veterans telemedicine. That's another subject I want to get into. But we're going to go on full bear with hyperbaric therapy and other reforms of the VA, or maybe we privatize the VA. Now, here's the point on this. What's coming now is if we get these documents, there has to have been a reason why they were withheld. Okay, by the way, there's more documents the agencies never released to the Assassinations Review. So there's still more documents out there that have not yet been brought forward.
Well, Jerry, let's hit that real quick. Let's hit that real quick. Why were the documents withheld? Because there's been tranches released over the past 63 years. Some at the beginning, a few. Why are they sitting on them? Who are they trying to protect?
The Secret Service knew the day Jack Kennedy was shot, he was shot from the front. Clint Hill, who was jumping on the back of the limousine, was splattered by JFK's brain and blood
Right.
from a shot that came from the grassy knoll. They all knew it was a lie. Okay, they started destroying evidence right in the scene. They would not let people take pictures of the limousine because you could see a shot came through the limousine windshield from the front. It was obvious. Okay, so they covered it up because the remaining documents, I think, are going to prove 2 or 3 things. Number one, Lyndon Johnson was in on it. Lyndon Johnson knew he was going to have
No doubt.
And
Right.
I've heard this before, and I could talk
Yeah.
about why I think so. But keep going. Keep going. Yeah.
Number
Same
2, they're gonna be able to demonstrate that the Secret Service knew and covered it up and lied. Okay. Number 3, they're going to know that that for all this period of time, we have been told it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald, we're going to find out, was working for the CIA and
He was a patsy.
FBI the day of the assassination. He thought he was in there in Dallas on a different assignment. He thought he was working for the CIA to watch the gun run
Exactly.
that Jack Ruby and the others were doing, stealing weapons from Army bases and running them over in boats to Cuba and selling them. Okay, and that's
Right.
what he was there to do. So he knew from the moment it happened, he said, I'm waiting for somebody to come forward. I'm just a patsy. You know, no one has said I shot anybody. I didn't shoot anybody today.
Exactly.
Over
Exactly.
and over again. He was set up and he knew it. And he was working for the federal government. His mother said, if you knew the truth about my son, you'd know what a hero he was. Okay. He was in a years program in the Marines. He was trained to defect to Russia. Okay. There were multiple Oswald figures. This was a complete government plot from the beginning. The government was in on it, and government knew what was going on and covered it up. Now, when we find this trove of documents, if it doesn't have this in it, then they haven't released everything, because these documents are there. I published in that book a CIA memo from right after the assassination, where their job was to oppose anybody who did not believe in the Warren Commission report, to say they were conspiracy theorists. That's where the conspiracy theorist was born. So the CIA's mission was disinformation and lying to cover up the fact that they had killed a president of the United States, and they were complicit in treason. These documents that we're going to get today, most of the people are dead, but they ought to be retroactively tried for treason. And I'm going to press for that.
Yeah. So I want to add something to the discussion, just so people understand what Jerry's saying can be proven through proxy. So one of the things that Jerry mentioned was Oswald being essentially a directed asset. So there's a book I recommend you all pick up. It's an old one, but a good one you need to look at. It's called Widows by William Corson. This is back from a long time ago. 4 American spies and their wives left behind because they were double agents. So what Jerry is saying is that Oswald essentially was a directed, what we call offensive counterintelligence operation asset. So that's, you have to understand, and Jerry, I think it's important that people understand this. The government does do this sort of thing for the right reasons. I've run these sorts of operations. They are, it's like a gun. It's ambivalent. Yeah, that's the book. And if you read this book, you'll see examples of operations like Oswald. So, and this is all fact. This is not a fiction book. That's fact. If you read this book, you'll see how it's done. And just imagine what you learned from this book to be basically put on top of the Oswald operation. I'm just saying that what Jerry is saying has immense importance. And so what he's saying, basically, we're going to come to find at least one of the aspects was Oswald was an offensive counterintelligence asset, right, Jerry? That's what you're saying.
I'm saying you're 100% correct, Tony. That's 100% correct. And he felt he was there, not earning very much money, but doing a government service.
They never do. They never do.
He was actually a supporter of John Kennedy, and he was actually loyal to the United States of America. And he had gone to great lengths. You know, he was fluent in Russian. And I've talked to people in Russia who knew him. This was a complete government lie from the beginning. And he was within, an hour and a half or so of the assassination, he was caught by the police in Dallas and named as the killer by the Dallas Police Department. And there was an international bulletin with his whole resume already prepared, distributed and published all around the world. That was a setup. It was a complete setup.
So Well, so we're limited on time, Jerry. We got about 5 minutes left, but let's go through the high points of what you think we're going to learn today. So do you think there'll be confirmation in these documents regarding the role of individuals, both from Secret Service and people like Oswald? Will there be a revelation of the fact that the U.S. government was much more involved in this than has been previously acknowledged?
100%. I think that's what they're hiding. They don't want us to know that from day one, they knew that the government was complicit. The CIA, the military, some of the military were involved, and it was a combination with the mob and a combination with actually the French Corsican assassins. This was an international operation. There were probably 5 assassins. They knew Jack Kennedy was shot from the front. The doctors at Parkland Hospital, our book makes amply clear. The doctors at Parkland Hospital gave a press conference, said Jack Kennedy was shot twice from the front. His press secretary at Parkland Hospital said, pointed to his forehead where there was a bullet shot that went through the top of his head, and said Jack Kennedy, it was simple, Jack Kennedy was shot in the head. And you can see the trace of the bullets. They don't exit. I mean, that was a liquid mercury bullet, and they could not remove. There was pre-autopsy surgery to alter the wounds of Jack Kennedy. This is going to be maybe the greatest scandal in American history. And, our government killed our president. And we have a treasonous CIA. We have criminal treasonous CIA.
There's about 5 of these coming because, as you know, Kurt Weldon and I have been talking about we're going to be able to try to get on the 9/11 stuff because that's going to be another big reveal, Jerry. Just saying. So
I know Kurt, and I know you're working on this, and there's going to be, once the Kennedy shoe drops and the American people know that they've been lied to for 60 years, suddenly all kinds of things become suspect. Where were the weapons of mass destruction when we invaded Iraq in 1991? Colin Powell told the United Nations he had proof of it. We didn't find any. Why did Building 7 that was not hit by an airplane come down on 9/11?
Exactly.
These are going to go on and on and on. And so we've been lied to. The federal government, I'm in favor of shutting down the entire federal bureaucracy, starting over again. And maybe we don't need a federal bureaucracy. It's going to take our tax dollars and give it to communists. The Democratic Party is a communist party. We don't need them. And if we are going to have now Palestinian cities, they can go to the Mojave Desert and have their little, pleasure ride out there. They can all be.
Jerry, I have a brilliant idea. You and I should go talk to President Trump about, because I think what you're saying is immense importance. Why don't we consider, once we get a hold of Greenland, moving all the people we're talking about, the federal government, Al Green, and the Democrats, to Greenland and letting them start anew? It's like the Wrath of Khan when Kirk takes Ricardo Montalban's character Khan and puts him on a planet and says, "Hey, go figure things out." I think that'd be hilarity, and we could do it like a miniseries.
I got a better idea. Let's just take all the Palestinians that want to kill Jews and cause terror violence. Let's put them in Elon Musk's spaceships and send them to Mars. Let them colonize Mars.
There we go. Or well, I might want to see this Patterson thing play out there.
Let's make that our next comedy act. Instead of Springtime for Hitler, we could do a Broadway show, Muslims on Mars.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. The thing about this is, this Patterson thing might actually work out. I mean, you might want to see some fights between the Crips and the Muslim terrorist types kind of clashing with each other. That might be fun to watch. Again,
Jerry, I got a question before we go. So one of my favorite places is actually in New Jersey. It's down on the southern tip. You've probably been there. There's a nice. It's where there's a Lewis ferry. The ferry comes across.
Cape May
goes over. Cape May. Cape May. Have you been there? So I have a suggestion. I love Cape May, but so if you put AOC on the beach there with Jasmine Crockett, who could swim out to sea further without drowning? Is it A, Jasmine Crockett, B, AOC, or the letter C? I don't know, but it's worth trying.
I think it's probably Chuck Schumer.
It could be.
Well, Chuck's not included, but one of the two would drown. But just say so. Anyway,
they actually had this race. It actually did take place. Jasmine Crockett dropped out because she, it would hurt her nails and her fake eyelashes. And AOC swam halfway to lose. Then she figured, I'm not going to make it, so she swam back.
Yeah, well, look, these people their day is done, and they're just beginning to realize it. And now they're going to be hunted for their crimes. I want to know how, Elizabeth Pocahontas at $67 million net worth. I want to know all their net worths and where they got it. I want to know all their MGO.
No, Jerry, she is a big beer drinker. It's all from recycling. She turned her beer bottles in.
Okay.
And got her rebates. That's how she got her millions.
It was her
current
godlike
hero,
business.
my current hero is the president of El Salvador, who called a cabinet meeting yesterday.
Good for him.
And he said to his cabinet, "This is my attorney general, and I've just assigned him with investigating all of you cabinet members for bribery."
Excellent.
Now that was a good cabinet meeting. And then he said, these Venezuelan terrorists, send us. We've got the prisons for them. We know what to do with them. I mean, just watching that, I want AOC to get on and to tell us how releasing these guys, bringing them back to the United States, these tattooed terrorists, mother rapers, father rapers, baby rapers, is going to be good for the United States of America. Let the Democrats support that.
Oh, they probably will. But one last question before we go, because we got to go. Jerry, do you think, I think there's been some folks critical of a number of President Trump's appointments, rightly so. I've been holding my powder. I've not been out there yet. But do you think if the people that President Trump has selected don't start performing by April, do you think he's going to start firing people?
Well, but we call him Pam Blondie. I bet in about 2 weeks.
I'm just asking because,
having trouble saying Pam Bondi because they're going to start seeing Pam Blondie. The answer to your question is yes. He's either got to get results or different people. And the patience of the MAGA group is very thin because we've been promised a lot. So we get these Kennedy papers and they're redacted. I guarantee you Donald Trump is going to hear about it in 20 seconds. And if there's, and now I want it made clear, Tony, you and I've got to talk offline because there's several things we've got to bring forward.
Sure.
And I want to share them with you.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
We've got to talk offline. There's 2 or 3 initiatives going on I want to brief you on. Okay. But the point is.
Well, we'll set up a time. I'll text you. But we got to go. Jerry, Dr. Corsi, people love you. If you see the chat, they love you being on. This has been very informative and fun. I think we need to continue that. And by the way, the good news is, Chris, we didn't get fired from stirring all the trouble up. So that's good. So at least our evil overlord hasn't fired the ship. So that's good. So
that's right. We haven't pulled that "where's the line" yet, like Bob Grant. So we're working.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, Patriots, thank you for being here. You guys are great. We appreciate seeing you guys show up and interact with us. And we had a good show today. Jerry, Dr. Corsi, God bless you. I pray every day that Andrew Weissman and all those other knuckleheads spend the rest of their lives wearing federal orange and some lockup in Colorado. Just saying, I think that would be a fitting in for those guys. But until then, I think we know we are owed answers. And thanks, Jerry, for giving us kind of a preview of what we hope to see out of Pam Bondi and DOJ today when they release the documents. So
we'll be watching.
Orange is the new blue.
Yeah. And we'll be back tomorrow, right? Another day. That's right. We'll see. By the way, Jerry, did you know if you hold your breath long enough, you turn blue like the Democrats? Did you know that? That's something I just found out.
I think the final act here is what Ronald Reagan said: "We win, they lose."
That's right, and here we are. So everybody, we're winning. We're going to continue to win, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow. So thank you all for being here. We'll see you then.